The first rule I want to talk to you about is that a good lawyer always takes responsibility for his or her mistakes, rather than trying to blame them on others. And that I think that's particularly important today because you are all here attending this mandatory convocation during your first midterm exams. And so I'm sure you're not thrilled to be here. And I just want you all to know that I had absolutely nothing to do with the scheduling of this convocation. In fact, it is all Keith's fault. What I'm going to talk to you today about is not very academic. It is not the result of kind of double-blind studies and scientific theories. I'm going to be giving you some opinions that I've formed as I approach my 30th year of law practice as to what it is that makes a good lawyer and how you can become a good lawyer. And so I want to give you a broad disclaimer, since I'm a contracts teacher. What I'm about to tell you may be wrong, and more importantly, it may be wrong for or about you. But I think that what I have to say may resonate with some of you and may help you, especially next year when you're selecting classes and thinking about how to prepare for a legal career. As you approach your first set of midterms, some of you are probably asking yourself, is law school a good idea? Is this a good investment? After all, it is very expensive to go to law school, and there has been a broad academic debate going on, especially recently with the recession in law school employment, about whether law school is a good investment. There's been a recent academic study looking at how much people make out of their law school career, taking the present value of their future salaries based on historic data and deciding how much is a law degree worth. And the conclusion of this study, written by two professors, is that the median present value of a law degree is $1 million. Making it look like a pretty good investment, huh? It's more than that for people who graduated in the top of their class, and for people in the bottom 25% of their class, the median value of a law degree was $325,000. Still not bad, but not a great return on investment. But I think there's two important points that we have to think about when we're looking at an academic study like this. One of them is that these numbers are based on past data, and we don't know how much people are going to make in the future, and so your future salaries may be different than the salaries have been and the incomes have been in the past. And secondly, these are medians, which means half of the people make less than these amounts and half the people make more than these amounts. And so we're looking at statistics that don't tell us much about how much you're going to make over your legal career and whether law school has been a good investment for you. What will determine whether law school was a good investment for you, and I submit it is whether at the end of your career you have had a fulfilling and lucrative legal career. And so the focus of my presentation today is on how you can develop a fulfilling and lucrative legal career. So what are the characteristics of lawyers that succeed and have fulfilling law practices? And that's what I want to talk about. The first piece of advice I have for you is not to focus too much on the short term. I see a lot of people, and I was one of them when I graduated from law school, very focused on going to work for a law firm that had a fabulous reputation and that paid the highest salaries. You know, I was very interested in going to a very large firm, and I did. I went to work for Latham & Watkins, which was one of the largest law firms in the country, and I left after 9 months. And one of the reasons I left was some advice that I received after my first week on the job. And so I want to tell you about that. At the end of my first week at the firm had its annual retreat at a very fancy resort hotel, the Ritz-Carlton in Laguna Niguel, right on the water in Orange County. It's an absolutely beautiful resort facility. I don't think I had ever been to anything that kind of fancy. And all the lawyers from all the offices, about 800 lawyers, flew in for this retreat. And it was my first week on the job. I didn't know anybody there. And my first evening, I entered the dining room for dinner, and there were all these tables around filled with lawyers having a wonderful conversation with each other. I didn't know any of them. And I saw a guy sitting at a table in the back of the room all by himself, an elderly gentleman. And I thought, well, you know, he's sitting all by himself. I'll go sit at the table. And so I walked up and I said, hi, do you mind if I join you? And he said, no. And I said, it's nice to meet you. I'm one of the new employees at the firm. My name is Greg Germain. And he said, nice to meet you. My name is Clint Stevenson. I'm the managing partner of the firm. Well, the next hour, I learned why nobody wanted to sit at the table with him. He proceeded to take my deposition, finding out every little facet of my very inexperienced life during that hour. And I didn't get to eat any of the fabulous shellfish that was in front of me. But one of the questions he asked me is, why did you decide to come to Latham & Watkins? And I didn't have a very good answer for that. Well, you had a great, it has a great reputation, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I didn't know why I should pick a term. But I decided to turn the tables on the managing partner, and I asked him, based on all of your experience after all these years, if you were a young lawyer choosing a firm, what would you look for in a law firm? And he paused for a minute. I don't think he was expecting to be asked questions. After all, he was the managing partner of the firm. But he gave me a very honest answer, and he said, what I would look for is a firm where I could be involved in the direction of the law firm. I'm a builder. I want to help build the law firm. I want to be involved in management and feel that I have a role in the success and future of the institution that I'm working for. And that had a lot of resonance with me over the next 9 months as I looked at this giant boat that was Latham & Watkins and thinking, it's going to be pretty hard to get up there to the captain's seat and have any influence on the direction of the firm. And so I decided for me that it is so important to be involved in feeling like I'm a team and in building the practice and my own practice, that I really needed a smaller firm. And so I went to a smaller firm in San Francisco, and it was a much more fulfilling practice with me than it would have been, I think, if I had stayed at a very large law firm. So you got to think for yourself, what is it long term that I am looking for? Am I looking for a job where it's 9 to 5? Am I looking for a job where it's not 9 to 5 and I'm going to be contributing to the future success of the law firm? And that may have something to do with whether you decide you really want to be at a giant law firm or a smaller law firm or another institution. So what do I think you should be asking when you are looking to go to work at a firm? Where are you going to learn the most? Where are you going to have the opportunities to become a partner and to grow as a lawyer? For most of you, your legal careers are going to be long. I'm now looking back on 30 years of experience, and probably I'll have another, 10 or 20 or 30 more. And so this is a long endeavor. Your starting salary in your first job is very unlikely to be the end of the process. And so thinking about bettering yourself for the long term is far more important than your initial salary that you get right out of law school. Now, the legal market is quite different than it was when I graduated from law school. When I graduated, the legal business was growing very fast. I had basically offers from every law firm I interviewed with. All the firms were growing at a very high rate. And so there wasn't a kind of short supply of jobs. I remember one of my classmates, Teresa Woody, had a job interview at the largest firm in San Francisco at the time called Pillsbury, Madison, and Sutro. And she wasn't really interested in working there particularly. She wanted to interview, but she wanted to go back where she was from in Kansas City. And she went to this job interview, and they were a little bit disorganized that day. And they said, you know, have a seat in the waiting room, we'll be right with you. And she waited, and she waited and waited, and then went up to the secretary and said, you know, I've been here a half hour, what's going on? They said, oh, we have a little confusion today, just have a seat and wait a little longer. She said, you know, I don't really want this job, I really want to go back to Kansas City anyway. And so after another 20 minutes or so, she left. She just walked out. And 2 weeks later, she received a letter from Pillsbury, Madison, and Sutro saying how much they enjoyed the interview and offering her a job. So, you know, those were the good old days. I think things are a little tougher now. And firms are going to be looking at you and deciding, you know, what do you bring to the table? What distinguishes you from the mass of resumes that all of these employers are getting? And some of the things are obvious. Legal skills, you know, do you have good legal skills? Do you have good knowledge of the law? Do you have the ability to figure out what you don't know? Are you able to apply the law to the facts? You know, those kinds of things are primarily of primary importance to an employer, but how do they judge them in the 15-minute interview or from your resumes, which, after all, are not going to have tremendous amounts of experience on them? You're right out of law school. And so the hard truth of the matter is they're going to rely on your grades in deciding what your legal skills are. If you're at the top of your class, they're going to assume you have pretty good legal skills. If you're at the bottom of the class, they're going to assume you don't have pretty good legal skills. They may be wrong, but that's going to be the first cut that they make because that's what they see. And so it's very important to master the subjects that you're studying in this first year, to put in absolutely your best efforts all the time, and to do as well as you can, because that's going to be of primary importance when you go out on the job market. Secondly, are you reliable? Can an employer trust you to handle a case properly? In large part, this is about communication and diligence, and I'm going to talk more about some of my experience in supervising students and young lawyers when I was a partner in a law firm, about some of the problems I see with communication and taking responsibility. Work ethic. I think the law is a terrible profession for someone that wants a 9-to-5 job. There are lots of 9-to-5 jobs around, but very few good lawyers that I know work 9-to-5 jobs. They have to work on weekends when things are busy. They have to work at night when things are busy. They have to work in the morning when things are busy. That's just the reality of the practice. You have to do whatever is necessary to do a good job on your case, and the work doesn't come in from 9 to 5. And it means there are going to be times in your life where you have to put your work ahead of your personal life. And some people don't want to do that, and I think they have to think seriously about whether the law is really right for them. There may be positions in the law, kind of in-house positions or government positions, where you can work a 9-to-5 life, but that's not true for private practitioners. And so I think having a realistic notion of the work ethic is important. Another characteristic is what I call a winning attitude. And by that I don't mean you have to be one of these fake happy people that always has a smile on their face. Anyone who knows me knows that I am not one of those people. But what it means is you have to be able to figure out how to win your case. You know, it is not the job of your supervisors to figure out how to win your case. It's your job. And one problem I constantly have supervising students in law cases is their failure to kind of take the bull by the horns, to say, this is my case, and I'm going to look up and figure out the solution. And instead I get a lot of questions like, what do I do? What do I do next? How do I do this? What do I, and that's not what lawyers do in practice. I mean, if we hire an associate at my firm, we give them a case and expect them to come in and tell us, to do the analysis, to do the research, to try to answer all the questions before they come in so they can tell me and give me suggestions on how to handle the case. I may disagree with them and say, no, I want to go in a different direction, but I want a self-starter who figures it out and comes in with a solution, not a secretary or a receptionist who just passes on the client's questions to me. And I get a lot of that in the pro bono and the bankruptcy clinic, where students say, client asks a question and they just pass it on to me. Client says they want to know blah, blah, blah. Well, go look it up and then come and talk to me about it. I mean, I want to be here to, I don't want you to make the final decisions as a first, second year lawyer, but I want you to think about it before asking me the question. And you've got to take that ethic into the practice of law. It's your case, you've got to solve the problem, and you need to figure out a solution, not just go to the supervisor and say, tell me what to do. Personality is, of course, a very important factor. Successful lawyers are good at generating business. And as a new first-year associate, you may not be expected to generate business, but it won't be too long before you are. And the people that succeed and become partners and are successful at a law firm are good with clients and get additional referrals from the same client because they handled the case well. And they start building what they call a book of business, which is the coin of the realm in the world of partners transferring from one law firm to another. And so being good with your clients, returning their calls promptly, showing that you care about their problem and that you're going to find a solution to it is absolutely of fundamental importance. And your personality in being able to do that is going to be an important skill that you have to develop. So what did I look for when I was hiring young lawyers at my law firm? We don't have very much information. We have your resume. What do I want your resume to read like if I'm hiring a lawyer? Well, the first thing I'm looking for is somebody that somebody whose resume shows an interest in my area of the law. And so if I'm hiring a bankruptcy lawyer, I want a resume that demonstrates the person has some interest in bankruptcy, knows something about it. That doesn't mean I want to see only bankruptcy courses or something like that. The core bar courses are core bar courses because they're fundamental courses for the practice of law. And so I want to see a resume that shows that most of the fundamental courses in law school have been mastered. In addition to that, I want to see courses in my area of specialty. And all of the courses should reflect a plan and design to show that you're interested in a particular area of law. If I get a resume where people have people have all kinds of scattered courses that have nothing to do with each other, I think, who is this? What are they going to do? It shows a lack of kind of organization and thought. And so you're relieved of most of the responsibility of selecting your courses in the first year. We do that for you. But next year, you're responsible to select your own courses. And you should do so in an intelligent way. What direction are you going? You may not know exactly what you want to do, but you should have a pretty good direction even after the first year. Do I want to be a criminal lawyer or a civil lawyer? Do I want to be in the business law or tort law? You should have a pretty good general idea after the first year, and you should be structuring your curriculum in an intelligent way to obtain the kind of classes and education you need to be a good lawyer in that area. And we're here to help you with that. All of the professors, I think, are more than happy to get a call from someone saying, hey, I am interested in bankruptcy law or estate planning Will you help me go through my schedule and suggest the best classes that I can take to move in that direction? And so take advantage, or criminal law, whatever it is. I'm not meaning to pigeonhole you in any particular areas. But take advantage of the advising of the people that know their fields around here and ask for help with course selection. And I think you'll end up with a resume that's much more organized than someone who selects their classes because they're, only in the afternoon and you like to sleep in, or, only on Tuesdays and Thursdays.